劝你认真活动的唱着。
Good morning, everyone. Well, these are the amazing times. Somebody the other day said, well, it's the worst of times. I said, no. It's actually the best of times. And all that you're looking upon that's not in keeping with the best is working to get people to tune in to that higher place of consciousness where it is the best of times all the time. That's what we're learning how to do in our consciousness, to live in the best of times all the time. All right, and now you can do that and you can help out, make it the best of times. If you can find your way to the choir on Tuesday and Thursday, 6:30. We're actually working on the most phenomenal music that will be performed on the Sundays between now and the holidays, but also on Good Friday and on Palm Sunday and on Easter. So come on in. You don't have to be a professional singer. You don't even have to sung before. If you come in, you can carry a tune, you'll learn how to sing in this choir. People have said that. Some of the great singers that you see up here learned how to sing while operating in our choir. Tuesday night, 6:30, if you can make it, show up. And Thursday night, 6:30, show up. Is there anybody here showing up from another unity? And what unity is that? Columbine Unity. It's always good to have you. All right. Anybody else? Oh, yeah, over there. Whereabouts? Columbine. Keep your hand up. If you keep your hand up, we'll give you a gift this time. All right. You have your hand up, you'll get a gift from us. Is there anybody here for the first time? All right, keep your hand up. We have a gift for you, okay? All right. Yeah, if you keep your hand up, we'll give you a gift. That bag includes a free pass to the Catholic Church. You're going to love this talk coming up. It's phenomenal.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity of Boulder. Those of you who are joining us here in person and those who are joining us online, welcome. We love spending some time with you every Sunday. Got a few announcements of upcoming things that are going on here. As Jack said, we are looking for more people to join our choir. It wasn't announced at last week's practice that, yes, we are starting Tuesdays this week. So if you're already in there or just wanting to try it out, come this Tuesday at 6:30. We have a Course in Miracles group that has just started. It's a year-long study group. We will be accepting people. If you still haven't joined but still would like to, you can still join for the next about 2 or 3 weeks. So after that, it gets going too far and it's too late to join. But if you're still looking to join our Course in Miracles, it meets every Monday for a year from 6:30 to 8 p.m., and that's led by Steve Hayes. And you can sign up over in the bookstore, or if you have any questions, just ask any one of us about it, and we can tell you all about it. Next week, following our second service, we will be having a potluck over here in Fellowship Hall. It'll be St. Patrick's Day themed, so if you want to bring any green food or anything like that, just make sure it's green for the right reasons. It's not just old. It's not left over from actual St. Patrick's Day before it. But please bring. But even if bring whatever you want, even if you don't bring anything, just come join us and hang out and get some fellowship and meet someone new over here. For a fun potluck, we always have a great time. So, all right, thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity today. This is our time for the call for prayer, and there's little sheets in front of you that you can write names down to submit to our prayer box, and Steve, who's the head of our prayer partners, will walk down this middle aisle. So if you're on the sides, please come pass them to the center and get them put in the bag, and then they will be put in our prayer box for 30 days and prayed over every evening, and then they'll be sent to Silent Unity in the Unity Village, and they'll be prayed over for another 30 days. So you don't have to write what the issue is or even put the last name down. We know that God already knows what you need before you ask. It's really, this is a practice for us to align with this great energy that's healing everything and reminding us that we have to move into this energy that's available and a part of all of it. But we're going to sing, and they say to sing is to pray twice. So join us in this song and just affirm that Spirit is here and is everything.
You are the air I breathe. You are the air I breathe. Your holy presence living in me.
Now we'd like to welcome to our stage today's musical guests. You will recognize Marcy Baruch, and over on the keys accompanying her and helping us out today on the keys is Janice Kelly over here, who just single-handedly put on an amazing benefit concert here on Friday night. It was magic. That was amazing, Janice. So you two take it away.
Good morning, good morning. This is a song by Denise Rosier, God of Everything. There's this line in the song, hold on, let me find it. You spoke your name and it all came into being. And I'm all about updating our cosmologies. So I'm just curious how it would feel if instead of saying, God, you spoke your name and it all came, how it would feel to remember that we're an ongoing creative process where the divine is speaking its name and becoming and becoming and becoming through us. So maybe marry that with what you hear today, if you wish. The creatures of the earth, big and small, and every hair on my head, you've counted them all. The secret of the stars and the mysteries of Mars are nothing for you to solve. You are God of everything. You spoke your name and it all came into being. You are God of everything. You made your home inside of me. There is nothing else I need. You are God of everything. The path of time moves like shifting sand, but I am steadied by perfect hands. Vast deserts of fear and deep oceans of tears all disappear at your command. You are God of everything. You spoke your name and it all came into being. You are God of everything. You made your home inside of me. There is nothing else I need. You are God of everything. Oh, the wonder of wonders. Wonders. You are God of everything. You spoke your name and it all came into being. You are God of everything. You made your home inside of me. There is nothing else I need. You are a God of everything, everything. A God of everything, everything. A God of everything, everything. God of everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you. What a beautiful song. Love it. perfect for today, of course, always is. We have a very nice intuitive thing going on where she just seems to read the minds of the sermons that are coming through. We're just all connected, you know. We're all going through the same things, and it's just amazing that that wave happens with all of us. And so thank you for being part of it with me. Appreciate you. Yeah. Well, good morning, everyone. It's nice to have you all here today. Today my talk title is Seeing Without Eyes, Knowing Without Mind. It's talk 3 of the Lenten season series, which we have one more Sunday that I'm going to be speaking, and then Shad will be closing up this talk series the next Sunday. So we have that wonderful treat to have Shad Groverland in town as the speaker in 2 Sundays from now. So today is day 18 into the 40 days of the Lenten season. This journey is an individual one, with spirit awakening in the inner workings of the beloved self, coming out of dormancy into second sight and an awakened knowing of things prayed for. Traditionally, the 40 days of Lent have historically been a time of fasting, prayer, and study for those wishing to grow closer with God. It can be a time for personal and collective reflection and transformation. It is a time to look honestly at ourselves and contemplate our relationship with this greater power we call Source, God, Creator, Spirit, whatever word makes you feel divinely connected. And if a word triggers you that I'm using, just replace it in your own mind's eye, because there is no perfect word for this, the mystery of life, the all-knowing, the energy that fills our sails and fills our dreams when we plant a seed. So we have symbolically in life, so this process is getting rid of something that we've been leaning on to protect ourselves, something usually outer, like sugar or alcohol or drugs. Obviously, prescription drugs are not on the list of the things that we try to get rid of, but we're trying to clear away the smoke screens between us and spirit. So that's why it's a 40-day walk with divine self, really, and that sacrifice of fasting from something that might be the thing that we're kind of making God more than God itself, right? So it might be that thing that numbs us a little bit when things feel too overwhelming. And so when we start this journey, we pray into existence. We want to pray in the renewing of our minds, the renewing of our hearts, and seeing from a higher point of view, from an eagle state of point of view on this life, on the unfoldment of our lives. And it's a process of a death. It's a beginning of a journey of letting go of things that no longer serve us, and it will bring up things that are going to unearth that we've been squashing and pushing down for too long, and to be with it and to heal it. And it can have a feeling like it's a death, and then we get to resurrect into the new version of ourselves, into awakening after the 40 days. We have all symbolically experienced death and resurrection many times in a lifetime, because the current in life is to always seek to be even better versions of ourselves. And that's really what the point of the spiritual journey is. Edgar Cayce, who is the most documented psychic of all time, said, we're here to grow in a lifetime. And we meet up from the last lifetime where we left off and we come into this lifetime. And we have memory, but it's a subconscious memory. We don't have it in the present memory. Maybe in dreams we're shown it, of things that we made mistakes in the other lifetime and things where we really benefited and grew. And sometimes we'll come into a lifetime and we'll go backwards. And we will not take and access all the beauty that we became and we go backwards, or we grab onto where we had developed and we develop more and more. And at this point, I think many of us, if you're sitting here, we've made it through COVID, we've been through a lot in our lives, we're stepping in. We want to awaken fully. We want to understand this mystery of life and not have it be so mysterious. We'd like to activate, right, and spontaneously grow the things that are working and eliminate the things that are no longer serving our lives, right? And so that's really what this journey is about. And it's a vulnerable time. It's a vulnerable time. So we have symbolically experienced death and resurrection many times in a lifetime, because the current in life is to always seek to be even better versions of ourselves. We are here to grow, not to stagnate and shrink back in the face of opportunities. But sometimes we do. And sometimes we just know when the divine spark is planted from the divine source, and this is a time to jump, to adhere to the call. And not every time we have this call is it convenient. I like the laugh because it's so true. It usually isn't convenient when that call comes, right? Okay. So to answer this call means that there is an entire structure of things that are going to crumble to make this other better thing happen or birth inside of us. So we make up excuses like, well, when my children graduate from high school, then I will take this quantum leap. That's one that I do. That's one of the ones. You know, I've got like 3 more years or 4 more years. And I think, well, then I'll be really brave. And I'll step into this thing that I'm feeling, this knocking. But I'm noticing with this particular Lenten season, it's like, no, you can't put off tomorrow what you need to do today. Right? We have to laugh at ourselves. We have to realize that fear stops us, and we can overcome fear. And Jesus showed us that we can, and that we can overcome any mountain that's in our way. So, or when we get the degree, we'll say, like, when we get that college degree, I will feel that I shored things up enough to step into what is being called for me, right? So it's different circumstances. I was using mine. But we all have something, or when I'm pretty enough, then I'll go out there and find the person that I'm feeling is in the midst of my world. So it's putting off tomorrow your blessings that are here today, that are ready for you to step into the thing that's scaring you, or causing fear, or uprooting you, and realizing because there are going to be a lot of structures that are going to have to fall away for you to invite all of this goodness in your life, and we can get really stagnant and really stuck in our patterns. Especially the older we get a little bit more stagnant and just stuck in our patterns. You have to be willing to undo the patterns to step into the resurrection. And when you've done it, you get more brave. Every time you have a death and a resurrection, they go a lot faster because now you put your helmet on and you just run towards it because you get it. It's much faster to go flying through it and like let yourself grab it. But the first or second time you go through it, I remember one of my favorite statements the first time I really went through the big cut of my life. It said, if you're going through hell, keep going. Then truly, that's a great, great statement. Just keep going. And you just don't listen to this. You just got to listen to this. You know something good is coming. It's always darkest before the dawn. All those wonderful, wonderful statements that we've heard. So, and everything in the end ended up being so much more miraculous when you had the bravery to face the change, the structure that needed to fall away. And most of you have that time to look back. So it's really nice to look back on your life when you saw a big discord that faced your life, and you faced it, and you met it, and you spiritually grew yourself in the midst of it. And we can look back on it and go, oh my God, that was the greatest gift of my life. That was the beginning of my life, truly. In unfoldment, because I wasn't afraid anymore. I was willing to face the cuts and the things that made me feel small from my childhood or from the first boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, where I was living to not feel that kind of a break again. But we have to be willing to feel those kind of breaks again, to heal them within us so that we can become this enlightened, beautiful version individually. Like all of you, we're all one, but you all have perfection and gifts in you to be shared, and we want you to share those. The universe wants you to share those, right? It's very exciting. So we have little deaths and resurrections, and we have big deaths and resurrections. Some call it the Phoenix process. Some call it awakening. Some call it the process of going from 3D to 5D consciousness. Some have named it a quantum leap. Either way, this part of the spiritual journey is at the core of the worst and the best experiences on this journey. And the more times you've been through the death and resurrection of your life, the more faith we have in this incredible spiritual, God-led life, and you become much more brave and are willing to step into a death because you are so much more curious and intrigued with what Spirit is ready to birth in you. You're stoked. We're like, oh my God, could anything else go wrong? That's the chance. You're like, yes, this is that moment. Could anything else go wrong? All that's left is something going right. Woohoo, right? Okay. Or you don't have to activate and step in when this process is calling you, and it happens for you without you agreeing. We've had that happen too, where some major change happened. And we knew we could feel it coming, but our fear kept us frozen in a state of fight or flight or trauma or whatever. And now your life is just unfolding with this thing, and it's like a hurricane. So it's a beautiful thing when we're on a spiritual journey and we realize that we're co-creators with Spirit. We're co-creators with God, with the Creator. And when we're feeling those hunches and those nudges, those are for real, and those are to be taken seriously. And to start walking with those, one foot in front of the other, so that it's not a huge hurricane that happens out of nowhere, because the universe is showing you something's coming. And it may get worse before it gets better, but it always gets better. So last week, I talked about an outward situation that has happened to me when a divine insight had been planted in my being. And then my old, worn-out belief systems created a temporary illness while I was leaning into the new divine insight. The worn-out belief system was dueling and creating duality within me. And I'm going to be kind of covering that today. And last week, that topic of it was that for the last year, before last June, I was feeling very called to become vegetarian. But being a dancer and wanting a dancer body, the paleo diet really kept me thinner. So the outer directed want to stay that kept me from doing a diet that Spirit was really telling me it was time for me to do. And I went to a vegan talk at UWM, Unity Worldwide Ministries, last June at the Ministers' Conference, and it was on veganism. And something touched a chord in me, like a spark of light. And when it happened, I got very sick, and I was sick for a few days. So I learned that instead of pushing off something that I know intuitively I need to do, and I'm not vegan, I'm a step closer. And I'm not saying everybody needs to do this. This was something my soul was calling to do. You have different things. I'm just sharing examples of things that we're ready to do. So I'm going to share what that means and why sometimes we get physically ill or we get very kind of off when we're ready to face some of the new divine ideas that are being downloaded for us. In Lessons in Truth by Emily Cady, it says, one term often used and not always clearly understood is called chemicalization. Did you ever put soda into sour milk, cider, or other acid fluid and witness the agitation or excited action that takes place? One of the substances neutralizes the other, and something better results from the action. And it goes on from there. It says, this is a good illustration of what takes place sometimes in the minds and bodies of people. Suppose a person has lived in wrong thoughts and has molded their body by wrong thinking for years, until, as you might say, they have become solidified in their wrong belief. When you introduce new spiritual truths to them by demonstration and it is received at their soul level and it resonates, it creates in the first few days new hope, new joy, and health. We've had that where it's just like, my life has changed. Everything is anew. When you introduce new spiritual truths to them by demonstration and it is received at their soul level and it resonates, it creates in the first few days new hope, new joy, and health. But after a little time, a sort of mental agitation takes place. They can be apt to feel anxious and directed away from this new truth. If they have ever been sick, they may begin to feel the old dis-ease. If they have been morally bad, the desires and habits will take possession of them with a new force. So what has happened here? Why, simply this is what's happened. There has been a clash between the old condition, which is based on falsehood and fear, and wrong ways of thinking, and a new thought or truth entering into them. The old self is kicking vigorously against the truth. They may have a feeling of discouragement, of fear, a feeling such as one would have if caught at something not respectable. But do not be frightened. That which you feel is on the spiritual plane. A similar excitement and agitation to that which was seen in the chemical action between the alkali and the acid on the material plane. And something higher and better always results. Stick to your original awakening that set this entire thing off. So, if any of you know anything about Native Americans, they call this the trickster. All right, where something finally is falling into divine alignment. You can feel it's time. It's like you were kind of askewed and you didn't feel like you were in homeostasis or in balance. And you're heading down the right track. You're finally getting rid of what that's something that you were getting involved with that was no longer serving, or the person that's no longer serving your life or whatever. And then something over here is like a flash, and it's something of the old life, something that feels really comfortable and it feels like home, and it's pulling you away from this divine inspiration. Divine inspiration, you're heading down it, but this is like, but over here it's just so easy. You don't have to face any of that, all that stuff you have to go through to get to that, like enlightenment stuff, you know, like just come over here and just come in and have shade. Come have a drink with me over here, right? And it's so much easier to go back. The trickster's testing your will. Testing your spiritual will. How much are you willing to step into your life? How much do you love yourself enough to give you the life that you deserve? You have to ask yourself, because the person that's going to go to the old way that's no longer functioning and no longer good for you, that is the lower party that doesn't feel like you're worthy of what's ahead. It's the shame, it's the guilt, it's the whatever that made you feel like you don't deserve divine inspiration, divine light coursing through your being and bringing you to totality of healing in body, mind, and spirit. Let's just sit with that for a second. Let's actually think about how deserving we are of all of that. Bask in it. Let Spirit hold you right now. So this idea that the trickster could come in and try to pull you back into old behaviors, old limited thinking, old whatever that's keeping you small and little and not expansive. And the truth is when you're stepping into your divine inspiration, it does feel like you've stepped into a desert, because it's a place of unknown. And we don't like to be in places of unknown, right? So to go back to the comfortability of old friends, old boyfriends, old girlfriends, things that no longer serve us, it will be shelter for one time, but immediately you will feel disappointed. Your soul will be disappointed that you gave up on yourself. Rumi says it this way: out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I will meet you there. And that's why we want to go to the trickster, because it feels lonely out there, but it's a tangible love. There's a connection. Spirit is there. Spirit's always with us, but especially when we step out of our comfort zone, especially when we're facing the greatest grief of our life, or we're a divorce, or some major cataclysmic change in our life. The universe will hold us, and you feel it, and you can taste it, and it's tactical, right? The first time I had the first death in my life was when I lost a baby, a full-term baby that was perfectly fine, and I had the baby at home, and next thing you know, I'm in a hospital, and everything's going wrong, and he's going to pass away, and I have to get my soul around holding that baby as he passes back into the light. And I was dead from that experience. I didn't know how to move into the world again after that. And I have that as an anchor in my life, that I still stand up here. I laugh all the time. I have a depth of joy in me I would have never had if he didn't give me my life, and give me my life abundantly by breaking me to my core, and broke me in the end open, and I felt God in a way that I'd never felt God, holding me through that process, growing me through that process, giving me a sense of second sight and a sense of the veil, and how the spiritual and the ethereal and this world, and how you bring them all together. He could have never given me in his life what he gave me in his death. So things that we think could destroy us, we can let that happen. Or they can be the greatest gift of your life. Thank you. Yeah. That's my son, Luca, was his name. I can give another example of this happening in my life about over 12 years ago. I was back at Unity Village taking some of my last core classes for a week-long intensive there during my minister schooling. That week was intense, and it was a very emotional week. All the classes and papers that I had to write and give speeches on were creating duality in me, because at home my marriage was falling apart at the seams. I was trying to keep that to myself. I was even trying to deny it to myself as I wrote powerful talks on overcoming the world, breaking down Bible verses like this. In John 16:33, I have said these things to you that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but take care, I have overcome the world. You will have peace, but take care, I have overcome the world. And the truth is that's an example of what we can do, which is we can overcome the world, which is the outer dysfunction of the world. The world represents the sense self, the thing that grabs on things outside of ourselves to stuff and protect and correct things that are broken in us when we actually need to face our stuff. I knew deep down there was no saving my marriage at that point, no matter how much I wanted to. My husband was drowning, and I, for years, was trying to keep him from drowning. But I knew I could not drown with him. I had to raise these children. I still had Tyler and Katya, and it was the loss of our child that did really take hold of him. And I was so close to drowning with him, and I knew it was time to leave this tribulation and overcome this outer experience of the world. If I was going to survive emotionally, physically, and mentally, as well as raise powerful children and step into my life's work and purpose and inspire people to return to their own light, I had to make a major decision at that point. But that wasn't going to be an easy choice. There was going to be a major life shift that was going to uproot everything I knew about my life. I felt held during that week while I gained perspective on my life at home. I felt seen by my fellow students. But when it was time to return home, I was walking across the campus of Unity Village, walking by the beautiful fountains to go to the administrative office to get my credits documented. And I came right to the corner of this fountain right here. I remember I was just turning the corner of this fountain. When the dizziness came over me, I walked to the fountain to grab hold of the corner of it, to keep from blacking out. I ended up sliding down and sitting on the ground with the cement border of the fountain supporting me. I sat there wondering why I couldn't get it to stop. While I sat there, fear overtook me. I thought about the plane I needed to get on to return home in the next few hours. How would I even be able to walk to the administrative office? My world was imploding. What was wrong with me? All the worst thoughts of dis-ease entered my mind. Somehow I made it through that day, but it happened at least 3 more times before making it to the airport. When I got off the plane, I called my dad and told him what was happening, and he didn't mention chemicalization at the time, which I hadn't read about yet in my studies. He said, you speak to your body right now. Anytime the symptom starts, you command not needed, not wanted, not necessary. There's nothing like a father telling you, like, you kick that thing out of your body. Like, we are not accepting. And I had great parents for that. Like, they would never speak to fear, like, oh, what if it's, oh, there was never that. I was like, you're fine. Mind over body. We're going to, we're going to get over this. Not needed, not wanted, not necessary. And it would stop the process of the dizziness, but it was still coming here and there. Then I was in my office that next Tuesday at the church, and I picked up my Lessons in Truth book, working on my sermon for that Sunday, and I opened the book to the page 86, and there was chemicalization. And I read it, and I was so blown away by how Spirit is so spontaneous to answer our questions. I'm not sick. I'm having to make a major life change that's going to unravel all the work I have done to build this home, this life, this marriage, this safe place for these kids. It was a person I leaned on and needed and loved beyond. But I had to choose what was going to be best for me and my kids. So when I read that paperwork about chemicalization, it was like, okay, but what this is saying is I kind of stopped stagnant here. I was sitting between, I got to leave my marriage, but I didn't. And I was still going towards the ministry, and that wasn't going to work. So I had to step, and I had to go file for divorce. I had to take that step. And so much of my heart broke doing that, but I knew what I had to do. Something had been planted in me at Unity Village while I was at school. I was shown what I needed to do, but I was struggling with stepping into it. Something was birthed there, and there was no going back after this. And this is what happens when we want to settle into the comfort zone, when we know the season is over. That season was over. It had been over for 6 years. I was doing everything. How can I change to make this round peg sit in a square hole, right? It's how much can you change this beautiful being to get somebody to accept you and decide to sign up and be in a marriage with you? You can't. Eventually, you have to choose God and your own life and develop into what you are meant to be here now. That's friendships, that's family members. You have to know what's good for you and what you surround yourself with. It's very, very important because we become what we surround ourselves with. So, and I'm saying fight for your marriages with everything that you have, and I did. You know, obviously, always try with everything you have. So this is what happens when the wellspring has been given. The secret whisper of the Almighty, the hunch and the urge speaking into my soul that there is so much more for you, Santisha. When we listen and we step in, it will test you, but it will be so worth it. So whenever I got dizzy, I took hold of what I was thinking, doing, saying that was not in keeping with this new understanding of my life as a conduit for this greater life. This is what it is to be seeing without eyes and knowing without mind. This is getting out of the physicality of life. And you as spiritual being first. You are a light being first. It's the things of the world. It's the physicality of the world. It's the relationships. It's the thing of life. It's all the things we play out here. But ultimately, at the core of you, you are a light being. And when you really understand that and you realize that you're a perfect child of God, nothing can hurt you, make you sick, or make you afraid. And you will start to trust these divine urges, this divine love. Making that decision was the greatest decision of my life. My unfoldment came before me. Mike came into my life within 2 years. I mean, it was just, we bought a beautiful property out in Lyons somehow and like totally don't make enough money to have this house. I mean, God literally just was like, here's 2 acres, right? 10 minutes outside of Boulder. Like, seriously. I mean, it's like our life became a faith trip. It was just like, because we were meant to be together. And when you're with synergy that's positive, nothing can stand in your way because it's made from God. And my ex-husband was made from God too. And that teaching was really important. He was willing to be that in my life, to just bring me a little bit more, to find the abundance, the light that lived in me. I want to play this video really quick.
I've had some challenges in the last couple of years myself, and ultimately, I believe that suffering leads to salvation. We have to somehow accept, and not deny, but feel our suffering, and then we make one of 2 decisions. We either decide to go through the gate of resentment, which leads to vengeance, which leads to self-harm, which leads to harm to others, or we go through the gate of forgiveness, which leads to grace. Just as Christ did on the cross, he suffered terribly, and he was broken by it. To look upon the people who were causing that suffering, or the situation that was causing that suffering, with compassion and with forgiveness. And that's what opens the gates of heaven for all of us.
And what he was saying is that we have to go through suffering to find salvation. And metaphysically, in our Unity Metaphysical Bible Dictionary that's written by Charles Fillmore, this is the definition of salvation. the restitution of people to their spiritual birthright, regaining conscious possession of God's given attributes. It comes as the result of redemption, the change from sin, which actually means error, to righteousness. Salvation comes to people as a free gift from God. It embodies a knowledge of God that frees one from all illuminations and points the way by which mind and body may be lifted up to the spiritual places of consciousness. So I'm going to take us into a 5-minute meditation and just let us digest. Digest whatever it is that we need. You know, Jesus from the cross being so devastated by the people that didn't believe in his work. He said, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." But if Jesus said it in our terminology today, I think he would probably say, "Forgive them, Father, for they are unconscious." Which all it takes is opening up to your higher consciousness and meditating. Taking the time to silence the voice in the head that's talking you out of your good. To center in the stillness and soften into your being. Being more gentle and kind to yourself. That's where it starts. You're not going to attract people in your life that's going to be gentle and kind to you until you can do it to yourself, for yourself. And God will show you how to love yourself like that. So let's just sit down and we're going to play some music. So let's just take a deep breath in and out with a deep breath in. I can already feel us getting a little bit more relaxed. Okay, so we're going to take hold of what has been shared here today. In Mark 9:23, it says, "All things can be done for the one who believes." All things can be done for the one who believes. So I ask you, what are you believing in your life right now? Is it in alignment with what you want to manifest into your life at this time? Do not forget that everything that appears in your life and affairs, physically, mentally, or otherwise, has sometime been sent forth from your thinking faculty. So let's now go forward and imagine a world that you would want to live in. Your dream job, your dream relationship with other and yourself. Your dream of travel, fun and play. Your dream for your children, your spouse, friend, and other. My friend Sue Frederick wrote this quote, "Listen for the whisper of your soul. This subtle inner voice, like a sudden breeze against your skin or a tingle up your spine, urges you to seek guidance, to step into higher consciousness and face this moment with awareness of your divinity." So again, all things can be done for the one who believes. And I personally believe all this for you and more. And I bless you today, seeing you all surrounded in the light, stepping into that which is being called for you. And I know it is, and I know it will be. And I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Amen. sit in the audience and I'll just stand up and get them to sing. Is that good?
Good stretch goal is a couple years ago I did the whole reoccurring donations. If you just do a small amount on the reoccurring donations, that really helps us because we can plan on it and then you can just let it go. So consider that. Thank you.
Well, freely we have received. Now it is time to freely give. Open our hearts, our minds, our lives to prosperity. That's the way we do it. It is in giving that we receive. It is the only way to open up and be free of the fear around finances. So let's all now bring to mind that financial gift we'd like to make to Unity of Boulder. Let's bring it into our hands if we can. And let's bless it with this offering prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is. And we have the opportunity to listen to this amazing music to lift us again.
Thank you, Jack. Janice and I were in San Diego last weekend playing at the ordination ceremony of a wonderful friend of ours, Sherry Sorbo, and we learned this song per her request. She happens to be online with us today, so hi Sherry and hi everybody else online. This is Shine, Be Glorious. Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Spirit of mine, spirit divine, let me shine your light, yeah. I open my heart, even in the dark. Light of my God always shines, even in the night. Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Spirit of mine, spirit divine, let me shine your light. Let me be a vessel, let me be a vessel of love. Let me be a vessel, let me be a vessel, let me be a vessel of love. I open my heart this miracle day. Love of my God, give me it all the good I can take. Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Sing with us. Shine, vessel. Let me be a vessel of love. Oh, let me be a vessel. Let me be a vessel. Let me be a vessel of love. Shine, be glorious. Reflect the divine. Shine, be glorious. Reflect the divine. Spirit of mine, Spirit divine. Let me shine your light. Oh, let me shine. Let me be a vessel. Let me be a vessel. Let me be a vessel of love. Sing with us. Let me be a vessel. Let me be a vessel. Let me be a vessel of love. Let me be a vessel. Let me be a vessel. Let me be a vessel of love. Oh, let me be a vessel. Let me be a vessel. Let me be a vessel of love. Keep singing that. Shine, be glorious. Reflect the divine. Shine, be glorious. Reflect the divine. Spirit of mine, Spirit divine. Let me shine your light. Oh, let me shine your light. Let me shine. A mighty vessel. Thank you. Thanks for singing. I could feel it.
Such a pretty song, such good songs to love. All right, so this is the closing of the service, and if you're facing a challenge in your life and you'd like to pray with a prayer partner and have them reflect the beauty that's in you so that you can remember the beauty that's within you, we have prayer partners available. They're standing over here with white sashes on. You can stay seated in our sanctuary, and they will come and find you and take you to our beautiful meditation room and pray with you after the service. I will be meeting with people in 10 minutes after the service. If you want to discuss further about the sermon and just meet friends and talk, we meet at the back of the sanctuary back here in about 10 minutes. So go get coffee and some refreshments and then meet us back in here.
Okay, put some legs under your prayers. You want to be a vessel? Show up on Tuesday at 6:30 for the choir. Or show up on Thursday at 6:30 for the choir. Those 2 days, we're going to create the greatest Easter services we have ever had.
All right, let's all rise and close with I release and I let go.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
Your turn.
Release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open
Here we go.
You're welcome to leave too at the same time. Let there